about to do something stupid. Please talk me out of it.
I mean, seriously, this is really stupid. Please talk me out of it. Anybody. Anybody at all.
Don't do it. Don't.
That doesn't count. So what I'm doing is something that I've heard other people do. I've heard other people suggest, but I wanted to go ahead and try it for myself. And it involves this product right here. This could either go really, really well or end very, very poorly. So what is the goal with the weed and grass killer? Well, I want to spray it on my dormant, or should I say hopefully dormant, Bermuda grass. In theory, when your Bermuda grass is dormant, it is not actively going to be able to absorb anything that's sprayed on the leaf tissue. So if you have a lot of perennial weeds that come up in the winter, you know, the best time to really make sure you knock them out is using something as heavy as a grass and weed killer. And I'm not talking about the safe for lawn stuff. I'm talking about glyphosate, or better known as Roundup, although Roundup is just the name brand that sells a version of glyphosate, but the root chemical is glyphosate. And because your grass, your dormant Bermuda, isn't actively absorbing anything, you can do a blanket spray, in theory, on your grass, and it will just stick to the weeds and kill the weeds, but not kill the grass because the grass isn't absorbing it because it is asleep. I know, people get real nervous when you start throwing around the chemical glyphosate or Roundup. You know, there was lots of people that got sick and they sued, what is it, Matsuno? Whatever the name of the parent company is that makes Roundup. If you're taking care of yourself, you know, you're putting on your PPE. You know, I'm putting on rain boots here. Or not really rain boots, rubber boots, not rain boots. You know, I got my gloves on, I'm wearing pants, I got long sleeves, I have my safety glasses. I got my safety glasses. It's a nice, calm day. I'm not spraying this in the middle of the monsoon where the product is gonna run off and go somewhere it shouldn't go. It's not overly windy, so I'm not gonna get a lot of excess spray going in other places. So I'm really doing things to make sure that I'm being as safe as possible. And if you're as safe as possible, you're not gonna have a problem. But if you go and you're spraying it in unsafe conditions and you're not wearing proper PPE, you're gonna have a problem, and it could get you sick. It could kill things that you don't wanna get killed. This is the current state of my backyard. You see lots of green spread out. You have clover here, and clover, the funny thing is, I just found this out, glyphosate doesn't kill clover. I mean, it will damage it and you may kill some of it, but it's not really meant for clover. But over there, I have wild onion or wild garlic. That's kind of a couple spots here and there. And I got POA kind of scattered all throughout the place. Got some of this. This big old patch of clover right here. Gross. I was kind of hoping there was some Dallas grass waking up, but I don't see any Dallas grass. I don't know if that's POA or something else. Maybe that's Dallas grass, I don't know, but that's a leaf grassy weed there. And I got these tufts of whatever this is. That's also POA. I don't know. Everything is POA. If you don't know what it is, just call it POA. Now there is one thing that if you're gonna do this on your Bermuda, you cannot do this on your tall fescue, because even though your tall fescue may be going dormant or mostly dormant, if there's green, it still can uptake it. So you can't really do this with cool season grasses, but with warm season grasses, especially the transition zone here where I live in East Tennessee, you know, our temperatures are still in the lows, 20s and 30s, highs. We're getting up to into the 50s. We had a couple days in the 60s, but it's really been low 50s, 40s. So we've still been plenty cold for air temperatures, but you wanna make sure that your grass is dormant. If you spray this on Bermuda that is starting to wake up and there is green in the actual Bermuda, you're gonna damage your Bermuda. Only way that you're gonna know is if your Bermuda is asleep and not awake and safe to spray is to get down on the ground or whatever and just give it a good investigation. Just don't blankly look over it, because you know a lot of the green isn't on the top because it is clearly asleep, depending when you do this. We're still in February here. But if you're doing this, you know, in the springtime, mid-spring, you know, you're probably pushing it. But, you know, so I'm looking on the top and I don't see a lot of green on top. I do see a lot of green when I actually get down here. And so the question is this green Bermuda that's coming up, or is this green, you know, like POA or another weed or something that, you know, is trying to take over? So like I have some green here. I'm gonna try to isolate it. Try to pull it up best I can without. All right, so I pulled this up. This is not Bermuda. This is some kind of weed, the roots, but this is not Bermuda, so this is just a weed. Dandelion. So here's the thing. At the end of the day, this is a risk. If you do this, you are risking your Bermuda grass. If your Bermuda grass is starting to wake up, and there are areas, because obviously Bermuda grass sort of spreads and it can get entangled with itself, so it's like growing on top of itself, you could cause where you may have only sprayed one little area, you know, like a little area where I have some of the wild onion or wild garlic or something like that. If there's any grass there that is Bermuda, that is waking up, that grass, that Bermuda, is going to absorb the glyphosate and then spread it through the stolons and the rhizomes and whatnot. So whatever that plant is going to die. Now, Bermuda is very resilient. It is very tough. So even if you do that, it could just cause some localized damage, and overall it will end up being fine, but you can also end up killing a large area of your Bermuda because of just either how much chemical you sprayed or how awake that plant is as it spreads that chemical through its system. So this is a risk. This isn't easy, but sometimes when you have a backyard like I do and you want to start off fresh in the growing season, you don't want a bunch of clover around and wild garlic and POA and all this stuff taking up space as your Bermuda is waking up and starting to spread. You want to go ahead, this is the best time to go ahead and knock everything out that you can. Now, the good thing about Bermuda, like I said, it is very resilient and it's very aggressive, so it spreads really fast, is when the growing season comes and you start putting out your fertilizer applications, it will quickly start to repair itself and fill in any areas that you do accidentally kill off. Or if there's a big patch of clover, like I have over there, there's not gonna be very much Bermuda that's gonna start off in that area, but that area is gonna start filling in once you start feeding it fert. So now we're just gonna sit and wait a few days, and I'll come back here in a couple days and see how it did. I really wish I had marker dye. I should have just went to the store and bought some. Laziness, you know? But I mean, it's not like there's not a lot around that I could really damage more, you know, but it would just been good to keep track of where I had already sprayed, because I'd start on a line and I'd see, oh, this area is already wet. So I'd have to move over a couple steps to start spraying again up the line. So that's where marker dye would really help. But it has now been a week and a half or so since I put down the application of glyphosate. And before I get into the minutia of what's gone on in that 8, 9, 10 days, whatever it's been, I want to talk about something real quick. When you use a herbicide that is labeled kills weeds, not the lawn, which is a lot of stuff that you'll get at the big box stores, there's a special chemical in that makeup that actually turns the weeds brown. That's why when it says see results in 5 hours or something like that, it's not that the weed is actually dying, it's just that that chemical has kicked in, and I don't know what it's called, and I don't exactly know how it works, but I know that's what starts the wilting process, and that's what starts the browning or yellowing process. When you're using pure glyphosate or the 48% mixture like I used, it doesn't have that chemical in it that basically turns the weeds brown within a few hours. You are waiting for the chemical to actually, the herbicide, the glyphosate, to actually go through the system of the plant and kill it. And that can take some time. Whereas that chemical that's in these kills weeds, not the lawn type stuff, that just basically is for show to say, hey, see, it's working, it's working. That's why sometimes when you spray it, it's like, well, I saw that weed turn brown like within a day or two of me applying it, and the weed's still there and it's been 3 weeks. It looks like it's even doing better. That's because the leaves turned brown, but the root system was nice and, you know, wasn't really impacted yet. It may have been weakened, but it hadn't killed the plant. It just sort of killed the foliage, I guess. But when you're using glyphosate, 48%, like the heavy concentrated mix, that stuff takes time. It may take 2 weeks for you to really start seeing results. Like when I did my renovation 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it's been. When I did my renovation, there were times where it took, like this area of the lawn would die, you know, within a week, but there's lots of other areas that are still holding on strong, and it took 2 or 3 weeks, and then I come back with another application for the stuff that maybe hadn't died yet or I missed or something like that. And so it takes time for glyphosate to work its way through the plant and actually kill the roots. The foliage, you know, the foliage helps absorb the herbicide, but it's the roots that need the herbicide to actually die. You can kill the foliage all you want. That's why when you mow your lawn, you mow the weed away, the weed's not dead, it just comes back because the roots are still alive. Now, I'm not saying these kill weed, not the lawn, kills weeds, not the lawn mixes don't actually kill the weeds, because they do. But what I'm just trying to say is, it's been 10 days or whatever it's been, so the results are varied. However, it's gonna take a couple weeks, maybe even a little bit more, before I actually get the full benefit of that application. So here you can see this may be some POA, also some poop, but that's besides the point. Got some POA and stuff, and it has, like right here, it has really started to yellow. That's poop. That's POA. You can see where it has started to yellow and it has started to die off. You have this wild onion, wild garlic, whatever. You can see some of it has started to yellow a little bit, but it still feels like it's holding on pretty strong. So I don't know if it just didn't work very well or what the case may be. Whatever that is, that's dying. That clover there, that's still going strong. You do have some clover here that has started to brown up and die, but a lot of the clover, you know, is still going strong. This patch of clover here, you know, is really wilted. A lot of it's dying, but I can guarantee this stuff right here that's just wilted, not turned brown, that's not dead, it's just weakened. That stuff hasn't even been impacted at all. But then you have big areas of like whatever this grassy weed is here. Like I sprayed this stuff pretty heavy and it has gotten paler. It has started to lay down a little bit. It is changing color, but it still looks really good. So this may be something that I need to come back and do another application if I really wanted to make sure I knock it off. You know, this is definitely started to turn brown. But like some of these grasses, you do need multiple applications, and some, you know, would just die in one. So let's quickly summarize this, just because I don't want to make it seem like I'm taking this topic lightly, because glyphosate is a very harmful herbicide. Not only will it eliminate and kill things you don't want it to eliminate and kill, like good plants, good grasses, good flowers, and that kind of stuff, it can also cause damage to you and your person. So make sure you're wearing proper PPE when you're applying this and you're following the label 100%. Don't get lazy and anything like that, because you don't want to cause damage to stuff that you don't want to cause damage to. Also, if you're going to do something like this where you're applying 48% glyphosate on your Dormant Bermuda, make sure you have Dormant Bermuda. Get down on the ground and make sure there is no baby Bermuda grass coming out of the rhizomes and the stolons and the root system and all that kind of stuff, because if it is, you're gonna kill that grass. And I think the last thing is, and something that I really want to make clear is, make sure that you are putting down chemicals that will actually do the job that you want them to do, if that makes any sense. If you are trying to eliminate clover, like that big patch back there, you know, that big patch over in that area and sort of all over the yard, you'll see I did apply it in some areas of clover just to see what it would do, but clover is actually glyphosate resistant. It may brown some of the leaves, or it may kill some of the foliage, but the plant itself, the root system and the stolons or rhizomes, however it spreads, you know, that stuff won't be affected and it's going to stay there. So only if you make sure that the chemicals you're using are rated for the weeds that you want to eliminate, because not all chemicals eliminate all weeds. If you just start spraying stuff willy-nilly because you think it will work, you're wasting time and you're wasting money, and you're putting chemicals down on the ground that don't need to be there. So just please keep that in mind. I'm going to show you something real quick. This, whatever this is, was buried in the backyard. Grass grew on it, but that was buried maybe 2 inches deep.